Dalovina guia dolosana angito talitakini ana varong ng Bula FM at Golden Point Resort basendo nambando ana here binaka.
Bula binaka na adang ko tevita utunggoy 90 ando talitaka wale varong ng Bula FM nambando ana sir.
Nadang ko makilesi Voreqe NSB ng Bula FM nambando ana sir.
Hello nga ratu kitchen ng Batambo ando talitaka na varong ng Bula FM nambando ana sir ngo lusu.
Bula FM nambando ana sir.
Good evening, this is FBC News. I'm Jackie Spade. Tonight, death of a 14-year-old girl described as a brutal murder. Australia says it's collaborating with China in assistance to the Pacific. And more students slowly return to classes following Tropical Cyclone Winston. The death of a 14-year-old student in Diumba outside Naval was a brutal murder, according to Police Commissioner Brigadier General Sitiveningilio. Police can't reveal the findings of the post-mortem examination as yet because the investigation is still ongoing. Farzana Nisha has the details.
The death of 14-year-old Mary Olivo of Lepononi village in Diumba has left the community in shock. Police Commissioner Brigadier General Sitiveningilio says one suspect in police custody, while others are still being questioned.
And I also plead with parents to be more responsible in looking after our children and our ladies. To religious leaders, to community leaders, please be more responsible in looking after our young ones. We can't afford to have this continuing.
Brigadier General Gilio says police will also look into whether proper supervision was being provided when Olivo went missing on Sunday.
We've had a few cases recently where our young ones have unfortunately lost their lives as a result of things that are happening around the homes. So the investigations will not only be limited in looking at the perpetrator of the crime, we're also looking at it holistically.
Mary's parents awoke at about 11 p.m. on Sunday to find that she was missing. Her mother, Selike Nisaku, says her daughter's body was lying on the beach a few meters away from where they were searching, but she wasn't found until the following afternoon.
Something needs to be done before something happens to someone else. I mean, to another girl, to another female person out there.
A vigil is being held for Mary at her village tonight. The police commissioner has assured that those who are responsible will be brought to justice. Farzana Nisha, FBC News.
Australian Foreign Minister Julie Bishop says her government is now in discussions with China on how they can work together in the Pacific. Bishop, who made a two-day visit to Fiji to assess the cyclone recovery, says relations between our countries are strong. Maggie Boyle tells us more.
China's growing development assistance in the Pacific region is evident. More than $2 million donated to the Prime Minister's Relief Fund and about $200,000 in humanitarian aid. Australia's Foreign Affairs Minister Julie Bishop says they aren't worried.
I think that Russia and China and other countries are showing an interest in the Pacific. There is plenty of call for more support in development assistance, and I was in China recently and had a very good discussion with Foreign Minister Wang Yi about how we can cooperate to provide support in the Pacific. Where our interests align, I would be very keen to work with China.
Bishop says relations with Fiji are stronger in the wake of Cyclone Winston.
I think the partnership that has been demonstrated over the last 3 weeks underscores the importance of maintaining a strong and close relationship with Fiji. Our defence engagement is strong. We're looking to increase trade and investment. We are supporting Fiji in development assistance at a government-to-government, people-to-people level.
The Australian Foreign Affairs Minister adds that her government is here for the long term. They have more than 1,000 defence personnel, their largest Navy ship and medical teams here to help. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
Prime Minister Voreqe and Bainimarama revisited some of the disaster-stricken areas in the Ra province yesterday. People living in the coastal areas of Ra welcomed Bainimarama and were pleased with the rations supplied. Bainimarama visited a number of villages and reassured them of the government's continued relief and rehabilitation assistance. He also visited Voreqe District School, where he distributed school bags and stationery.
I came here to visit you this week. I have brought some rations and I assure you that I will bring some more rations as part of the rehabilitation work. As a reminder, government will provide assistance until things get back to normal.
The Prime Minister is expected to visit more communities in the coming days. The government is looking at enforcing building codes in villages and rural settlements to withstand the forces of nature. Permanent Secretary for Rural Development, Bainimarama, says many of the homes damaged or destroyed by Tropical Cyclone Winston were built for Category 3 cyclones. Savara has more.
Houses in rural Fiji now need to be Category 5 cyclone-proof. Permanent Secretary for Rural Development, Bainimarama, says the destruction caused by Winston has shown that many houses don't follow even the minimum building codes.
If you go to Fijian villages, you might find 2 wooden houses constructed, 3 cement houses made probably with good building codes, but the rest probably structured in a haphazard manner as long as people can walk in. But as I said, I've talked with PS Tokyo first, and we've discussed on ways how we can strengthen that legislation so that the proper inspectors can go into the villages and make sure that they adhere to strict building codes.
Cyclone destruction is nothing new to Fiji, and local architect Adish Naidu says Fiji should have had better building requirements many years ago.
After the first jolt of 1972 by Hurricane Bibi, we are still sustaining damages. 30 years on or 40 years on, we should be actually perfecting, or not necessarily perfecting, or improving our designs and perhaps construction methodology.
The Itaukei Affairs Ministry is currently visiting villages, advising people on the need to build safer, stronger houses. Sabaira Tambua, FBC News.
Save the Children Fiji plans to assist at least 21,000 children who have been affected by the cyclone. With aid coming in from international agencies, Chief Executive Irislo McKenzie says their priority is to ensure that children from cyclone-affected areas return to school as soon as possible. Shireen Sivan reports.
Save the Children Fiji is taking the lead, going out to various communities and helping out vulnerable children in whatever way they can. The NGO is working with the Education Ministry on the response to Cyclone Winston.
The Ministry of Education, who have assigned us particular places around Fiji, particularly around Bua, Savusavu, Koro and Taviuni, to work around education assistance, so providing educational materials, but also setting up temporary learning spaces and looking at rehabilitation of wash facilities in schools.
The NGO is also setting up child-friendly spaces for children so that they can go back to some form of routine after the devastating situation.
So that included training of the Ministry of Education ECE officials and also some of the community members to be able to run these child-friendly spaces. So we've got about almost 30 set up in the Western Division, and we also have provided 500 school bag kits. But we're working this week in the Northern Division to roll out our assistance.
Law Mackenzie says the Save the Children International have pledged funds, and an additional $3 million will be coming in from the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs.
The money will be used for educational assistance and water and sanitation assistance. Shadin Shivan, FBC News.
Still to come on FBC News, Fiji Sugar Corporation expects low yield in 2016 due to Tropical Cyclone Winston.
Yandra! I love listening to Gold FM at Golden Point Resort. Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Voila! My name is General from Voreqe. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic.
I'm Moses from Olivo. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
My name is Marida Manako. I'm from Kandavu. I like listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
My name is Silipa from Tavor Town. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Welcome back. This is FBC News. Australian naval vessel, the HMAS Canberra, has completed rehabilitation work in its assigned areas and is returning home. Director National Disaster Management, Akapusitui Fangalele, says more than 1,000 military personnel help Fijians rebuild and clean up after Cyclone Winston. He says they also work side by side with personnel from the Fiji military forces to build temporary homes for people devastated by Tropical Cyclone Winston. A Tongan vessel has also returned today.
I would like to thank the Australian for the assistance that they have provided to Fiji during this difficult period that we had gone through in this 30 days declared state of natural disaster. Also the Tongan Defence Force, together with the Tongan NDMO operating in Vunumbalavu for the last 3 weeks, they are also have handed over their operation to the Fiji government officials in Vunumbalavu as of this morning.
China is sending over 8 cargo planes of food rations, with the first aircraft landing tomorrow. As recovery from Tropical Cyclone Winston slowly turns towards long-term outcomes, health continues to be a priority. Health Minister Choneo Sumate says although there has been no sudden increases in diseases, medical teams are still vigilant.
Health Minister Choneo Sumate yesterday visited health facilities in southern Taveuni, one of the worst hit areas.
Concern right now at the moment in all the areas, is, including Taveuni, where we visited Boma nursing station and also the Waimangera and the one at Korgo at Vuna, is to try to make sure that our communicable diseases does not become a big problem.
The minister says he's pleased to see health staff are working with the National Fire Authority to spray affected areas, and despite damages to facilities, there is no disruption to services. Osamate says people often start falling sick 4 to 5 weeks after cyclones.
I'm concerned about issues like sanitation, hygiene, vaccinations for children. There's a special, and also increasingly also in a lot of areas, the issue of nutrition, malnutrition. As people become and they just eat the rations that are provided, there's always a danger of that. And that is going to be one of our concerns.
Outreach teams have been visiting affected areas to empower people to look after their own health.
So one of the things we need to do is pass on information. So as our outreach teams go around, they're talking to people, they're telling them, look, you need to look after this, you need to do this. You can't just rely on the Ministry of Health to do it.
The Health Ministry has not recorded a surge in non-communicable diseases following the cyclone. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
The Fiji Sugar Corporation anticipates a drop in cane harvest as a result of Tropical Cyclone Winston. Executive Chair Abdul Khan says a full report on the extent of damage will be ready by the end of the week. Ritika Pratap again with this report.
A 50% drop is expected in sugarcane production in Viti Levu and about a 7% reduction in Vanua Levu.
If we look at the amount of sugar we're likely to produce, last year we produced about 223,000 tons. This year we're looking at about 150,000 tons. There are also talks of whether we should import sugar for our local consumption as well. Those are the things that are being in the melting pot at the moment.
Executive Chair Abdul Khan says the European Union has come to the FSC's aid, helping with crop rehabilitation and machinery repairs. Khan says they have informed EU that 2016 will be a difficult year.
So there's going to be a certain amount of assistance that will be provided to see people in the industry through 2016. But more importantly, is that come 2017 onwards, we want to be back up there and better than where we have been. And that's the area where they're looking at actually funding us to allow that crop rehabilitation to take place.
The cane replanting program will start later this year. However, Khan says a number of farmers have already started.
Our main focus at the moment is to actually ensure that come the start of planting season from about August, September from this year onwards, that one, we have sufficient seed cane. Secondly, that the fields are prepared in the appropriate manner to give us maximum return on those fields. And thirdly, obviously, that the funds are available to ensure that that planting can take place.
Khan says Tropical Cyclone Winston has affected all sectors of the industry, including farmers, harvesters and lorry operators. He has urged stakeholders to make the best of 2016. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
Media Industry Development Authority Chair Ashwin Raj has been appointed the Director of the Fiji Human Rights and Anti-Discrimination Commission. His appointment is pursuant to the Human Rights Commission Decree No. 11 of 2009. A statement from the FHRC says Raj joins the Commission with a wealth of experience as an academic, having a number of engagements with civil society, state and the international community in the field of human rights, governance and democracy. Raj has already taken up office. And on that note, we have sports up next. Here's Jamie with all the very latest.
Thank you, Jackie, and good evening. In sports after the break, Fiji Warriors focused on improved discipline ahead of Tonga clash. This and more coming up.
मैं हूं रेहान खान करबो तालेबू के जैसे फेस्टिवल एग्रेट है करबो में उसी तरह मिर्ची एफएम नंबर 1 है करबो में
एलिन लटका में मिर्ची एफएम को लॉक कर दिया जाए मिर्ची एफएम इट्स हॉट
हम नकाशी से सामान है हमारा फेस्टिवल जैसे नंबर 1 है वैसे मिर्ची एफएम नंबर 1 है
माय नेम इज दिनेश हम नैंडी में काम करता है स्लीपिंग जायंट जिपलाइन में और मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट आई लाइक इट मिर्ची एफएम
Selection into the Vodafone Fiji 7th side seems to be getting tougher by the tournament as the Rio Olympics draws nearer. The latest person to put their hand up for selection is France-based Joshua Tuisova. Flying Fijians coach John McKee, who recently visited Tuisova in France, confirmed to FBC Sports today that Tuisova is ready to do whatever it takes for Sevens call-up. Vashnil Prasad with the details.
He's very interested in being available for the Olympics, and you know, if Ben wants to call on him, he's certainly prepared to make himself available for selection.
National 15s coach John McKee, who met with Tuisova in France,
to talk to the players about that, but I know that some players have indicated that they would be available for those legs, and their clubs have agreed to that. I see him as a player who could come into the mix later in the year, and you know, probably for the November tour. You know, I think he's at, you know, with his current form and you know, and his age, you know, he can be a star for us.
Tuisova has been a consistent try scorer for Toulon in the French top 14. All we can hope he continues with his fine form once he dons the national jumper. Vashnil Prasad, FBC Sports.
The Vodafone Fiji 7th side arrived home this morning after the third leg of the World 7 Series. Winning the Las Vegas tournament and finishing 4th in Vancouver, the team now prepares to defend the Hong Kong 7th title with its lead on the series points table still intact. Josephine Navula was at Nandi International upon the team's arrival and filed this report.
Rugby fans mobbed the team on their arrival at Nandi International Airport. The team returning after successfully retaining the USA 7s tournament and maintaining its lead in the series.
It's been a great tournament for us. One, we look at developing new players that have come on board, see how they've reacted in the big tournaments.
Fiji now leads the World 7 Series by a single point, sitting at the top with a total of 106 points. The team couldn't overcome South Africa at Vancouver, but is happy with the performance of newcomers Kitione Talinga and Masiwe Sindakuanga.
We started strong at Vegas, and basically the boys were emotional, you know. Haven't had a good training session before we left. Our last session, we did what we could at Vegas, you know, and we put in the hard yards in Vancouver.
Captain Osea Kolini-Sau says there is only a point separating the top teams, and the next leg in Hong Kong and Singapore will be crucial.
The points right now is, I think it's really close with New Zealand, 5 points a diff, and South Africa, I think 1 point or 2 points a diff of us. And we've talked about it, what we needed to do in Hong Kong, and that we need to try and go and win in Hong Kong in order to keep our hopes alive for defending the series.
Minister for Sports Lysinia Tuitumbo congratulated the team on its arrival. The side purchased $25,000 for the Las Vegas win and $10,000 for the fourth place finish in Vancouver. Josephine Navula, FBC Sports.
And Josephine joins us live now from our Nandi studio with more on what to expect ahead of the next two tournaments in Hong Kong and Singapore. Josephine.
Jamie, it was quite a reception for the players this morning, and you can expect the celebrations to continue over the next few days. But it will be business usual from next week when the team regroups. Isake Katonimbau, Amenoni Nasilasila and Vatemo Rabobo are receiving medical attention after the Northern American leg, but they are expected to be fit and available for the Hong Kong and Singapore Sevens.
Thanks for that, Josephine. Discipline will be the focus for the Telecom Fiji Warriors in the World Rugby Pacific Challenge match against Tonga A tomorrow. The side received 1 red and 2 yellow cards in the previous outing against Junior Japan, something which the coaching staff has been trying to rectify in training this week. Charlene Daudakadaka has more.
The Fiji Warriors match against Junior Japan highlighted vulnerability in defense, with players being sent off for dangerous tackles.
We have to play for the full 80 minutes and not play, like 30, 40, 60 minutes even. We lacked a lot of discipline in the second half, and it was, very disappointing. And I know the boys were disappointed, but they didn't stick to what we talked about, and that's keeping discipline, I think.
The former national halfback rates Tonga highly and expects the friendly islanders to come out firing tomorrow.
A very physical side, they'll be very combative up front, and they'll be very tough. We'll have to work very hard to get points on the board, and they'll just keep coming back. There's some big boys in the team, so we really have to be on our ball and try and speed the game up.
The Fiji Warriors are already guaranteed a place in the Pacific Challenge final next Monday, regardless of the outcome against Tonga A tomorrow. But the players want to make the most of this tournament and improve their performance in each match. Talento Takataka, FBC Sports.
Tributes continue to flow in from all over the world for former flying Fijian Seru Rambeni, who passed away yesterday. Rambeni was 37 years old at the time of his passing and is survived by his wife and 2 children. He will be laid to rest in Verata on Saturday. This year, for the first time, Fiji will host the ISA World Stand-Up and Paddleboard Championships. An agreement was signed between the International Surfing Association and Tourism Fiji today. ISA President Fernando Aguera says bringing the competition to Fiji will help the sport develop.
We're very proud to run our first World Championship in Fiji, and for that matter in the whole Pacific, South Pacific Island region. And especially of the SUP Stand-Up Paddle World Championship, which is the fastest growing water sports in the world.
The championship is scheduled to be held from the 4th to the 13th of November, with the venue yet to be finalized. That is your sports for tonight. Good evening.
There are up to 300 Fijians waiting to take up seasonal work in Australia and New Zealand at any one time. Employment Minister Semikoroi Lavesau says with more than 200 people now working in Australia and with no quota in place, the waiting list is likely to get longer. Despite recent reports of 13 Fijians being exploited with claims of weekly salaries of less than $16, the minister says the contractual agreements in place are for the benefit of all workers.
The agreement between the government of Fiji and the government of Australia dictates that our workers are not treated any less than Australian workers when they work on these farms. So basically, it is now up to the Australian authorities to make sure that the conditions that our Fijian seasonal workers work in farms are exactly the same as the conditions enjoyed by the Australian workers.
The 13 at the center of the incident claimed they had to endure poor working conditions, poor housing, and were underpaid. Isolated afternoon showers was experienced over most places around the country today. A frontal system lies slow-moving over the southern part of Fiji. Temperatures around most centres were constant at 32 degrees Celsius this afternoon. Tomorrow's forecast is for cloudy conditions and afternoon showers over most places. And the outlook for Friday is some showers about Kandavu, southern Lao Group, the southern parts and interior of the larger islands. Elsewhere, afternoon or evening showers and thunderstorms. Recapping the main stories for tonight, death of a 14-year-old girl in Pacific Harbour has been described as a brutal murder. Foreign Minister Julie Bishop says Australia isn't worried about China's growing presence in the Pacific, and Ashwin Raj is now the Director for Fiji Human Rights and Anti-Discrimination Commission. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. On to this week's poll question, we are asking, are you happy with the current Fiji Sevens reps? To answer, visit our FBC website. Send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. You've been watching FBC News. I'm Jackie Spate. Bye for now.
I'm Sarah, I'm from Tafwa, and I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
My name is Freddy, I'm from Gamiatong. I listen to Mario on the traffic jam every afternoon.
Hi, my name is Salah, I live in Asinu. Today FM rocks.
My name is Denasa and I'm from Lutoka and I love listening to Today FM.
My name is Mulamila, I work at Golden Point Resort. I love listening to Today FM, it rocks in Rakiraki.
I'm Mary from Mandera. I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
We love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.